Hello and welcome to News Today. My name is Kemini Nyamani Amano. Coming up over the next 60 minutes, reprieve for students who failed the basic education certificate examination as they will from February 2015 be allowed to resit the examination as private candidates. Also ahead, Minister of Finance Seth Terkper will on Tuesday, November 19, 2013, present government of Ghana's fiscal policy for the 2014 financial year. On the foreign front, Philippines stories and plenty more in a moment. The government has announced the establishment of an authority to oversee all development initiatives in the Keta Basin. President John Mahama, who made the announcement at a Durbar of chiefs and people of the Anglo traditional area, said although provisions for the Keta Basin Development Authority was made in the 2010 budget, groundwork such as legislation to back the authority has yet to begin. He was responding to a request by the Awamafia of the Anglo traditional area for a comprehensive development scheme for the area in order that people can maximize benefits from the basin.
The budget statement and economic policy of the government of Ghana for the financial years of 2010 and 2011 contain proposals under the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing for the establishment of a Keta Basin Development Authority to ensure an effective coordination and implementation of socio-economic and infrastructural development program in the 5 administrative districts of the Southern Volta that constitute the resources of the Keta Lagoon. We, however, noted with regret that 2012 and 2013 budget statements were silent on these vital issues. We therefore kindly call on the government to urgently reinstate these important items in the budget and to establish the Keta Basin Development Authority by law with specific commitment of funding to oversee the present and future development of the Keta Lagoon Basin.
When Awamafia was reading out the kinds of things that can be done by the Keta Basin Development Authority, that is an example of what we can do as a nation. And government is going to strongly support that effort. As Awamafia rightly said, the Keta Basin Development Authority was contained in the budget of 2010. We realize that some work needs to be done.
Well, President Mahama says the details of this new Ghana Infrastructure Fund will be explained by Finance Minister on the big budget day tomorrow.
I came on a mission to inspect the work on the first phase and second phase of the Sea Defense Project in the Jita Apleotoko area. And I must say I'm impressed with the work that I've seen. The second bird was to take the opportunity to say thank you to all the people of the Anglo State and the Awamafia for the support and encouragement that you continue to give to me, my government, and the NDC party. And to thank you for the support you gave us during the last election. I should have done this much earlier, come to say thank you, but as you are aware, this year has not been a normal year. It's been one of the most difficult years in the life of any government. I call it a baptism of fire. This government has had no honeymoon. And so I came to say thank you.
Now, away from that, students who fail the basic education certificate examination will from February 2015 be allowed to resit the examination as private candidates. This follows an agreement reached between the government and the West African Examinations Council to allow students who failed in BECE to resit as private candidates. According to the Deputy Minister of Education in charge of tertiary education, Samuel Kudjeto-Ablakwa, the policy would be rolled out in September 2014 for the first batch of failed BECE candidates to rewrite in February 2015. The policy, he explains, is to allow students who failed the BECE to improve on their grades and qualify for placement in senior high and technical schools. 182,000 candidates who sat this year's BECE did not pass in the core subject, hence could not be placed in any of the public senior high schools by the computerized school selection and placement system. Currently, those who fail the BECE have to repeat a whole academic year before they can get the chance to write the examination again in order to enter senior high schools. Leslie Teta is National Coordinator of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. He joins us over the telephone. We'll pick his thoughts on this. Hello, Leslie.
Hello, good afternoon to you and to your listeners.
Absolutely. Really, how does this come to you?
Well, I think this has been a problem that we and other groups have been calling that attention should be given to. We think that education is everybody's right. And as much as possible, there should be opportunities for people to progress to the extent that their abilities will allow them. So this is something that we think is in order.
We have seen the GES go after schools because they claim these schools had forged, the school's assessment, the 30% needed for the pass mark at the final exams. How do we go about implementing this? Because in any case, the child will not then go back to school to do the whole academic year anymore. Should implementation be a source of worry at this point?
Well, I was anticipating that the statements would have come out with the modalities on how this will be implemented, because the source that I saw from your site was indicating that they are going to be enrolled as private candidates. I don't know whether they are going to backdate this and consider some other candidates who failed in past years. How are they going to ensure that private, that is the candidates who have to rewrite again, also benefit from the government subsidy that BE students are supposed to get? And then also there are issues of modalities for how they will transfer, their assessment, cumulative, continuous assessment results to make up. But I think that these are administrative issues and the relevant authorities can sort that out.
Now that we are going to have this rollout in 2015, should we allow private candidates who have also, like in the situation of the WASI, where you are private candidates, where SS2 students, senior high school 2 students can also participate or take part in the final exam? Should it be the same with the junior high schools as well, so that if I have a ward in junior high school Form 2, I could just ask that ward to take private exams and test the waters?
No, I think that is not the objective for this one. This is to help candidates who, for one reason or the other, couldn't make it in some of the core subjects, and therefore they were not able to. If we encourage that, we are going to defeat the purpose and will not solve the problem that is set out to. I think that candidates who are already in the system should follow the process, write their BEC according to the normal schedule, and those who have to resit again have to do that. But another important thing is what measures will be put in place across the country to help these students who have to resit the exam, because definitely there are factors why they couldn't pass the exam.
Right.
And we're anticipating that there should be some arrangements to help with remedials to get them ready to write these exams.
Now, so we have this in place, and we are looking forward to our students going through private exams after they have failed. Are we not looking at also encouraging our young children to fail because there is an option?
No, that's not it. I mean, definitely when you write exams, for one reason or the other, people sometimes drop out. Per the system we have now, they write the exams and then results come out. Until we have a system that will require that we don't write exams at all, then that is how it works. So I don't think it is a statement to show that people can just fail the exams, but it's rather to help people to be able to get as many opportunities as possible to further the education and to become useful citizens of the country.
Leslie, I'm going to have to say thank you for your time on news today. Leslie Tete is with the Ghana Coalition on, he is with the Ghana Coalition of National Education Campaign. He is national coordinator for that group. Move on to some other stories. And a member of the National Peace Council, Florence Hatchful, has advised that Ghanaians adopt the use of dialogue in settling conflicts rather than opting for violent ways. She pointed out that the use of violence in resolving differences will only deny citizens the opportunities of benefiting from divergent views and opinions, which contribute to nation building.
Florence Hatchful was speaking at the opening ceremony of the mediation training workshop organized by the National Peace Council for its newly recruited regional and district officials. Officials of the districts and regional peace councils will also serve as technical advisors on the use of non-violent techniques in conflict resolution and sustainable peace building.
Divergent views, opinions, and needs can only make a society stronger. Our expression and responses to conflict is what is critical. If we choose to make use of such non-violent techniques as dialogue, mediation, and negotiation to settle our differences, we can become better for it.
The Executive Secretary of the National Peace Council, Francis Azuma, reiterated the call on the media to concentrate on reportage that will enhance the peace of the country and avoid reporting negatively on conflicts.
We should be aspiring in modeling out stories that are healing. We should be aspiring to collaborate to build stories that are peace-oriented. It is the only way that we can market our various ideas through the media, through ourselves, and through our capacity by modeling here.
A representative from the Embassy of Switzerland commended the National Peace Council on its work during the 2012 election and the court case.
We are obviously very happy that this workshop here has come to fruition. We're seeing already some very positive outcomes, that network that is being created between the regional offices, that esprit de corps which is gathering now, it lies in the future for the NPC to prove itself in other occasions, and also for the government to let it do its work and support it, as the Sheikh called before in his allocation.
Speak Up Accountability Media Watch project. An anti-corruption campaign has been launched, and it is aimed at educating Ghanaians on the anti-corruption laws and encouraging the public to report corruption. Speak Up project is a 14-month campaign by the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition and the Global Media Alliance, with support from Star Ghana to curb corruption, especially in the educational and health sectors. Florence Dennis is Executive Secretary of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. She's joined us over the telephone. Hello, Florence.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us on news today. But this project, at the end of the day, what do we hope to achieve?
I think one of the challenges we have, and as you know, in the issue of minimizing corruption in Ghana, is that it is important that citizens are not tolerable to corruption. And as you are aware, one of the things that we do get ourselves all involved or being confronted with is issues of petty corruption. but also in the issue about people knowing and how then they will have to report. And as a result of that, that's why the Whistleblower Act specifically was passed in 2005. So as part of the campaign, Global Media Alliance is the lead sort of implementer in this project, and they are collaborating with the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. And we expect that there will be a lot of education on the Whistleblower Act so that people then could use the law in terms of speaking up on issues or where they want to talk. The channels also, other channels also will be provided to them to speak up, and then we'll engage institutions on it. So at the end of it is to bring the public eye and public ear to the limelight that they should speak up and that it would be attended to.
And then when we speak of what, how does this change what has become the status quo?
We believe that when you speak up, as part of the project, the complaints that we would receive, those that are whistleblower will be channeled through the specific institution to follow up on, for example, SHRAG or whatever. But those that are general issues that concern institutions, we will engage those institutions, which means that those institutions will be aware that they are more prone to corruption because their institution might be members of staff or people that are providing services to the public are engaging in some form of bribery or corrupt practices. So they need to then put in processes institutionally to rid of such things. So the speak up is to ensure that there is more accountability with those institutions, we said the educational and the health sector specifically, so that corruption will be minimized in these areas. So we expect the institutions also to be responsive when we engage them to improve the system.
But the processes after you have spoken up is to go through sometimes the anti-corruption law implementation agencies that we have in the country. But over time, a lot of Ghanaians have not been impressed with their work. Have they lived up to expectations so much that we want to speak up?
Yes, I do agree that we haven't, but the issue is that have people actually been complaining. The issue is that we don't have the statistics to show the number, even who have complained and who haven't, then the follow-up have not been done. So for us, this will give us a clear statistics that we would then be able to hold these institutions that have been formally engaged or they have the legal mandate then to implement some of these laws.
So what form will this 14-month-long campaign take?
It will be a media campaign mostly. That's why we are partnering. Global Media Alliance is the lead institution. They have TV and radio stations. There is a documentary being produced on the impact of corruption for people to have a feel about the real impact of corruption and how we are all paying for the cost of corruption. There would also then be radio and TV discussions about issues of corruption, bringing in institutions within who are mandated even to work within, also then to discuss some of those issues. Then there will be a hotline that will be accessible to all Ghanaians in terms of those pertinent areas that will be working with. That people can call and then speak up or complain on issues, and then we follow it up.
Very well, Florence. Many thanks once again. Florence Dennis is Executive Secretary of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. We've been talking about the Speak Up campaign. Move on to some other stories. Make a stop in Tema, where fisher folks at the Tema Canoe London Beach are calling on the authorities in charge of the construction of the concrete wharf of the Tema London Beach to speed up the work. The project, which was initiated and the late President Mills, is behind schedule. The chief fisherman of the area says the delay is affecting their business as the Christmas season approaches. Joy News' correspondent Emmanuel Ante was at the Tema Canoe London Beach and has felt his report.
The wharf, which was originally scheduled to be completed in early 2011, was again extended to the end of April 2013 for handover and inauguration in May. The late president found the Canoe Beach in a horrible state and ordered the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the Tema Metropolitan Assembly to replace the dilapidated wooden wharf with a concrete one. The first phase of the project, which is the dredging, has been completed. But the chief fisherman, Ni Ashiteu Damiti, says they are still not safe. He explained why the authorities must speed up work.
As of now, we are not benefiting because almost a year now, the work is standstill. If you can see, the excavator they are using are just falling into the waters. And if the tide is low too, the canoes cannot go and berth properly because the contractor feel it before he laid the blocks. Due to that, we have over 500 canoes at the canoe beach in here. Due to that, we are all gathered ourselves at a small place. If the tide is low, the canoes are hitting themselves. Some are collapsing, others are spoiling. We have compared to the GPHA to wind up things quickly because we are in the Xmas season. A lot of canoe will come in because they trace the fish to where they move to. People from Central, Western, and even Volta, they will come in. So if they come in, we are going to squeeze ourselves at a small place. But if they are finished with the wharf, we can all press ourselves. Some can go and berth there, discharge their nets, manage their nets. You see, the population is growing. So as of now, we are suffering.
He blamed the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority for failing to hold the contractor accountable.
So we are going to hold the GPHA responsible because they signed the contract. We are telling them to come in quickly because what is going on is just something digesting the government. You see, they are supposed to finish about a year or 6 months time, but now we have just gone beyond that. We don't see anything. So it's not for the Tema people living at Tema alone.
Information gathered by Joy News indicate the delay of work is as a result of this equipment which fell into the sea when work was ongoing. The chief fisherman also expressed concern about the depth of the dredging, saying it poses a lot of danger to those who do not know how to swim. Eto'o, on a lifeboat at the dock, confirmed the concerns expressed by the fisherfolk.
This is where the canoes berth. As you can see, they are closely joined together, and if there is a high tide, the boats hit each other and it breaks the boats, and the fishermen are complaining very bitterly about it. They are also worried about the deepness of the water. According to them, the dredging was so deep that if anybody tries to jump in now and you do not know how to swim, you might drown. And according to the chief fisher folk, there's a company here who puts their waste water into where the canoes berth. And this is a major challenge for them. They are worried that if nothing is done about it now, it might cause a whole lot of problems, health-wise, not just for the people here, but those who consume the fish themselves, because according to them, they mostly wash the fish in this water when they come here before it is sold to other people. The earlier something is done about it, the better. From the Tema Canoe Landing Beach site, this is Emmanuel Lante from Tema.
In the studio, my name is Kimini Inyamani Amano, and you're watching News Today. I will be right back. Welcome back to News Today. Minister of Finance Tekwe will on Tuesday, November 19, 2013, present Government of Ghana's fiscal policy for the 2014 financial year. The budget is expected to tackle issues including huge budget deficit and infrastructural expansion. Chairman of the Finance Committee of Ghana's Parliament, James Avaji, has been speaking about his expectation of the next budget.
We will still have a budget deficit in our budget because as a country, our expenditure needs are far more than our resources that we have. And if government has imposed this new tax in the form of the increase in the VAT, I expect the Minister of Finance to come out clearly how the revenue coming from this additional tax increase will be utilized, which sector of the economy it should be applied in order to ensure that we keep having that. But I still expect that we will continue to have a budget deficit because I do not think that this 2.5% will solve the problem. If we are saying that the wage bill is now about 70% of total revenue to government, then that is serious. We cannot continue to do that. I went to Zambia recently, and Zambia with a population of 14 million people, the total number of employees on government payroll is 140,000 people. There is the number on government payroll. But in Ghana, we are around 600,000 with a 25 million population. What is the cause? What is the reason? So we need to take a proper look at.
It just means that we have a bigger public civil service than Zambia. I mean,
so what do we do? Do we maintain that bigger public service structure, or we do something about it? If we do that, because their wage bill to the total revenue is about 35%. In ours, 70%. So if we do something about that and bring the percentage down, it will help us. But if we don't do it, we will continue to have this problem.
We'll stay on the expectations of the budget, and former Minister of State in charge of Finance, Dr. Anthony Akotiose, has also been sharing his.
Cocoa is so important to Ghana that we should be careful what we are not doing right. The evidence we have is that last year the spraying was not up to par. Government doesn't have money. No.
Is that why?
That is one of the reasons given. He's talking about revenue. But that's where the prioritization comes in. I mean, cocoa last year had challenges. This year is having challenges. If we are not careful and we don't replant, in 3-5 years, we'll be heading towards those. So I think those practices, we want to urge government. If there's any one sector that they must prioritize, is the cocoa sector. We cannot quickly move from 1 million down to about 600,000. At least stabilize it. But it depends on the spraying. It's not good to raise expectations to a level where everybody thinks that because we have commercial production of oil, suddenly Ghana is going to change. I mean, 500 million that we have gotten, that's not a whole lot. So I think that we have to be careful. But whatever comes, we have to ensure that it is used properly. The law is good, but we must monitor. And that's my worry, that some of the initial reports, teething problems, but that's where we must go in and make sure we do all the corrections immediately. So I think that oil is an area that all of us, every Ghanaian, must be interested in how the money is being used.
Don't forget to tune in to Joy News Tuesday, November 19 for a live coverage of the budget reading, which will be preceded by some very insightful studio discussions. We'll move on to some other stories, preferably some sea defense works. And work on the 1.7 kilometers Akumono-Tema Coastal Protection Project is yet to be completed, despite government's assurances in the 2013 budget. The situation has led to the erosion of large tracts of land along the Sakumono beach, further posing a great threat to the main Sakumono-Tema highway.
The Sakumono Sea Defense Project is one of several projects stated in the 2013 budget that government says will be completed by the end of the year. But the project is yet to be completed. Now the sea has eroded much of the land along the beachfront, creating deep gullies. Where I am currently standing now is one of the gullies created by the sea, which is just about a foot from the main Sakumono-Tema highway.
The destruction from the sea waves is visible at almost all parts of the Sakumono beach. Gullies have developed at several sections, extending closer to the main Sakumono-Tema highway. The Coastal Protection Project, which involves the use of armor rocks to construct new groins in order to reclaim the land and protect the beachfront, is also messy. Government in the 2013 budget allocated $11 million for the construction of 3 sea defense projects, the Kita, Jita Anyanui, and Sakumono. All 3 projects were built to be completed by the close of 2013, whereas considerable works have been carried out on some of the projects, like the Jita Anyanui Road. The Sakumono project is, however, begging to be started. With just a month to the close of the year and the reading of a new budget on Tuesday, November 19, government is here to explain to Ghanaians why the project has not been completed. Whilst government waits to complete the project, one thing is imminent. Waves from the sea are degrading large portions of the beachfront at Sakumono, and the need for a sea protection is rife.
News Today returns shortly. You're welcome to the sports segment, and some African countries have already started making their representation for the World Cup 2014 in Brazil. Let's go over some of the matches played over the weekend.
Cup qualifying playoff on Sunday with the advantage. Seeking a 7th World Cup appearance, Volker Finke's team began the tie at a sprint and obliterated all Tunisian advantage after only 3 minutes, thanks to Fenerbahce striker Pierre Webo. The home side were far more composed on the ball and doubled their lead on the half hour after a brilliant run by Benjamin Mukanju. Ruud Krol's men should have pulled a goal back before the break. Sayam Ben Youssef finding himself unmarked in the middle of the Cameroonian box, but the Romanian-based defender sent his header over the top. At half-time, Cameroon had 1 foot on the plane to Brazil. The second period couldn't have started any better as the Carthage Eagles pulled one back. Substitute Ahmed Akachi sending his first-time strike past Muis Ben Sharifia. Just when Tunisia thought they were back in the game, the indomitable Lions struck again. QPR defender Benoit Asuakoto sent his corner to the near post, where John McCoon rose high to all but send the West Africans to next year's World Cup. Not long after, Mukanju should have killed the game off, but conspired to miss not one, but 2 chances. To put the cherry on top of the Cameroonian South American cake, McCoon would score his second of the day to send the home fans into delirium. With the 4-1 scoreline, Cameroon were deserved winners and joined Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire in Brazil.
Playoff against Senegal. Despite the odds stacked against them, the Teranga Lions were out to defy logic and attacked early. Goal line clearance by Didier Drogba kept the scores level. As the game wore on, the Elephants grew in confidence, and Jovini arrived seconds too late after a great cross by the talismanic Drogba. Although the Cote d'Ivoire had a sustained period of possession, the half belonged to Senegal, but they were unable to take advantage of numerous half chances as the sides went into the break deadlocked at 0-0. The Teranga Lions continued with their attacking intent with the resumption of the second half, although it was more the result of sloppy defending as Boubacar Barry spared the blushes of Sol Bamba. The Ivorian number 1 was under constant bombardment and kept his side in the contest, more importantly the World Cup, with a string of stunning saves. But there was to be hope for the Teranga Lions. A foul by Drogba conceded a penalty. Moussa Sow stepped up and made no mistake from the spot.
Now is their chance. And Sow scores it. The substitute.
Despite the relentless pressure, the Senegalese just could not find that vital second goal, and they were made to rue that miss as the Elephants finished off a swift counter to seal their progression.
Up top by Drogba, Yaya Touré. Salomon Kalou, can he finish it off? Yes, he can! The Ivory Coast are going to the World Cup. Salomon Kalou buries the hopes and dreams of Senegal.
1-1 is how things ended as the Cote d'Ivoire booked their place in Brazil. They still haven't lost in a qualifier in 8 years, extending their unbeaten qualifying run to 21 matches.
With the playoff against Ethiopia in Calabar. The visitors started well, Saladin Said creating an opening for himself before his shot went wide. Nigeria were then handed a penalty after a handball in the area, a decision that had the Ethiopians up in arms. Victor Moses stepped up for the Super Eagles and slotted home with ease. Nigeria continues to apply the pressure before the break, but failed to score their second despite numerous attempts, 1-0 at the break and 3-1 on aggregate. The World Cup dream for Ethiopia was finally dashed late in the second half when the Super Eagles made it 2-0.
Look at that goal! What an absolute scorcher! It came out of the blue!
It was a valiant effort from the Walia Antelopes to reach this stage, but Nigeria had too much quality on the day as they sealed their place in Brazil, the first African team to do so.
So either Ghana or Egypt will also book its place on Tuesday. You're welcome back. In news from
the health insurance, when they were talking about upping the levels, were saying that there should be some components that should be reserved for them. It should be earmarked for them. Is it going to be what is going to be? Is that going to be the program of government? Nobody tells anybody anything. In any event, we all know that there are massive leakages and corruption in the system. Those are the issues that are current. If government wants to come to increase the VAT threshold, they should at the same time tell us what measures they are taking to plug the loopholes in the system. Otherwise, if you increase it to 30%, you yoke the people of this country with a heavy burden, and yet whatever increases that you manage to have would not be put to good use because they will end up lining people's pockets. That is our concern. That is our concern. And so that explains why we felt that it's important to wash our hands of it.
By rejecting it.
And tell the good people of this country that their monies are going to go into government kitty. Government is not accountable to whatever they've had already, and is going to end up lining the private pockets of individuals. And we do not want to be part of it, which explains why, like Pontius Pilate, we washed our hands of it and left the chamber.
In showbiz, Ghanaian star actress Nadia Buari has ventured into a new area in her career. She's done with the first movie, Diary of Imogen Brown, which does not only see her in the lead role, but also sees her taking on the role of director as well as producer for the first time.
I want to talk to you today about drugs. Drug abuse. In the beginning, I had it all.
Nadia Buari has just joined the list of the actors turned producers and directors with a new release movie, Diary of Imogen Brown. The movie, which is based on real-life events, also features the rumored man in her life, Jim Iyke,
if you are here for money,
and her brothers, Majid Sidiku Buari and Jamil Sidiku Buari. It almost sounds like a family movie. Well, for those of you who have been waiting for Nadia's reactions to the rumors about her and Jim Iyke, Diary of Imogen Brown might give some perfect answers, as the movie seems to say it all. The movie is set to be released in the cinemas very soon. But and too soon I have to go. A recap of our headlines. Reprieve for students who fail the basic education certificate examination, as they will from February 2015 be allowed to resit the examination as private candidates. Minister of Finance Seth Terkper will on Tuesday, November 19, 2013, present government of Ghana's fiscal policy for the 2014 financial year. Elsewhere, Philippines Press. Amano, thanks for joining me. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Goodbye.